Hello there, YouTube. This is the husky named Fish, and I am here to deliver some breaking news. 2023, 𝐿UMINJ announced his contract with NaVi has ended. Here we are watching one of his highlight performances against the Swedish squad, Ninjas in Pajamas. Personally, I'm a 𝐿UMINJ fan. Surely I think he made some personal mistakes, but look, this is crazy. Already pushed up to this AC position like 30 seconds into the round. Oh, I thought he was about to die off the roof. Just 3 points of health. Sheesh. And kind of felt like that situation he had last year was pretty sad. Perhaps not the saddest situation with a NaVi player involving their wife, but it's a rough year for NaVi in general. Big Boom, though, I hope he finds a nice landing spot coming into 2023. Nice movement there to get down from that vent without making a sound. But I really think Big Boom is an underrated IGL. A lot of people are like, oh, Blade was the mastermind. 𝐿UMINJ was just like following pecking orders, and personally I think that's ridiculous. I think Big Boom was a really solid IGL. 𝐿UMINJ, after 𝐿UMINJ left, Bit having to take a lot of his roles that were some of the tougher roles in the game, like Banana, put really big dent on the Bit's rating in the second half of last year, 2022. Now in 2023, 𝐿UMINJ was kind of rumored to join BetBoom, which is like my understanding, it's like a sports betting platform. They had some like really big names people were throwing out there, like Chiron, SDY, 𝐿UMINJ, Forrester. Like, there are a lot of really good CIS free agents right now. Inters is looking like he's gonna get benched from Cloud9. Imagine if he and 𝐿UMINJ would potentially team up. I think 𝐿UMINJ, I think his head is still in the game. I know he's kind of released some rap songs a little bit. You know, I don't think Big Boom takes himself too seriously. Seems like a really solid IGL. Like, some of the things he does, like on some of these maps, like the impact he's able to have with just like an MP9 on Banana on Inferno, for example. Really impressive play out of him. Overall, I think he's just a solid IGL. Would I take a chance on 𝐿UMINJ if I was an international roster? Probably not. Probably makes sense for him to continue to call in his native language. If you're a player in kind of the tier 2 Russian scene, like One Win, Forza, might be kind of sweating. There's a lot of fierce competition, a lot of really solid players right now that are kind of hanging out in free agency at the beginning of this 2023. 𝐿UMINJ, it's looking like Inters, Forrester, and even Sanji's a pretty solid player. He still hasn't gotten picked up. SDY, a lot of players, a lot of Russian speaking players that are just really solid at the game without a home coming into this new year. Should be interesting to see how the shuffle works out. You know, Simple did, there were a lot of videos of him kind of getting the ire of Simple's wrath. Some leaked audio footage of Simple kind of scolding 𝐿UMINJ. Not necessarily the easiest task leading on a weapon like Simple. But if you can command, you know, someone like Simple, like That's why I thought the G2 rumors around Bloomage weren't that ridiculous. You got the likes of Nico and Manesi. If you can get someone to kind of channel the superheroes in the server, if you will. But don't really know how good Bloomage's English is. Probably more natural. And I think he wasn't really sure at that time about leaving his home country to live elsewhere. Seemed like he kind of wanted a more of a work-life balance. Definitely kind of understand that. Bloomage did have kind of a tumultuous 2022. Very public breakup with his wife. She posted a video of him snorting some drugs. And NaVi ultimately ending up releasing Bloomage. I'm definitely bullish on whatever team Bloomage does end up on. I think he'd pretty much make any CIS team he joins a better squad. I mean, the only teams where it might be like questionable, like if he were to replace like NaVi on Cloud9 or like Jerry on Forza, I'm not quite sure if the teams would be better as a result. Wonder if Bloomage is one of the players who's like just stick with IGLing as well, or if you consider just, I mean, it makes sense for him to continue to be an IGL, I suppose. Looked like he was potentially going to join Smooya's stack for the RMR, which included Fear, though. Fear was also, my understanding, I think he was IGL of NaVi Jr. So I wonder who would have ended up calling in that kind of situation. But that was also an international squad. Ooh, okay, Big Boom. What a 1D to open up that ramp area. Rice is like, damn, bro, their IGL just came out, fucking capped me. With the dog, the dig. Like, sheesh, man. Livers too. He's like, one of them are getting burnt alive. That was like the lobsters crawling each other down into the pot, keeping each other both burning down. I thought they were both gonna burn to a crisp there. Turned out Big Boom lockdown bit. Escaped just temporarily there out of that fire blast. In the comments, do you guys have any idea where you think Bloomage will end up? Would you like to see him on an international squad, a CIS squad? Think NaVi should consider picking him back up? To me, it seems like the ship with NaVi kind of sailed. I don't know exactly how everything transpired. I know his wife did put out some kind of pro-Russian posts and stuff. Part of the reason why NaVi perhaps ended up releasing him. It's a plethora of kind of, it wasn't anything performance related on the server, just some of it outside of his control, some of it inside of Bloomage's control. Unfortunate situation, but it's a new year. It's time for new beginnings. Same Bloomage here, often having to just rock the SMG. The rest of his squad gets a rifle. You'll just kind of see that a lot in general here. Kind of suck with the Galil. I mean, when you're playing with like electronic, simple bit, it's like, what, you're gonna take a AK from one of those guys? You're wildin'. Bloomage still putting up decent numbers. Always having that firepower disadvantage is kind of fairly impressive in itself. Nice clear from Bloomage there. IGL on IGL violence. This was before NIP picked up 𝐂𝐒𝐒 to take over the IGL role. So Hampus was IGL at this time. Hampus no longer IGL of NIP, but he still remains with that squadron. Yeah, there are rumors of, perhaps not rumors at this point. Well, the biggest, most substantial rumor seemed like 𝐵LUMIDGE was forming his own squad for the Bet Boom, but he ended up announcing his just free agency on Twitter. He could kind of already have a deal or two like on the books, but he just wants to see everything that's out there. Some of the kind of Russian like tier 2 Counter-Strike orgs are like fairly rich. I think Forza, I think it's sponsored by Lucas Oil, or it's a big oil company. One win I've heard is got substantial cash. I think 𝐂𝐒𝐒, I'm not quite sure about 𝐂𝐒𝐒, but some of these kind of tier 2 Russian squads could potentially look to make a move for 𝐵LUMIDGE. He does have some kind of, you know, there are risks, but I think kind of the reward, giving someone a second chance, I think it's definitely worth the risk. I think 𝐵LUMIDGE kind of finds himself in a similar spot to 𝐂𝐎𝐍 at this point, with kind of free agents, a couple character concerns, but overall they're both pretty solid on the server in their respective roles. Should be interesting to see where they end up ultimately, because surely 𝐵LUMIDGE will not remain a free agent for very long, not like 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶, for example. 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶 is just left in the dark on Virtus Pro for a while. See 𝐵LUMIDGE not really taking a bunch of like unnecessary risks on the T side. Like, see kind of an IGL like 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶. I wouldn't say he takes unnecessary risks, but it's kind of a little bit more willing to kind of throw his body on the line for his squad. 𝐵LUMIDGE seems like he's a bit more reserved on his T side takes. Not necessarily always going to be the first guy running in, but he did get that insane entry on ramp with the deagle against the rifle. Clock cold res that other round. That was dirty. Electronic giving the homie a little stab. A lot of utility being exchanged here. Looks like it's up to Big Boom to throw at least part of the smoke wall. So even though 𝐵LUMIDGE isn't really taking the most selfless line on T side, throwing his body in the line, he is constantly working with these like 𝐂𝐒𝐒s, MAC-10s. Never really finding himself with a full buy here. If Simple ends up, or if 𝐵LUMIDGE ends up against kind of a lower tier competition, a lot of tier 2, tier 3 events, I could see him putting up some pretty impressive numbers. Just kind of with his play style. But he also seems like he does like to kind of enable. I mean, if he has money to drop Simple, he's going to drop Simple, for example. So just kind of being good at the shittier guns in the game is just kind of useful. Like 𝐂𝐒𝐒, MAC-10. He is proficient at the silent vent drops as well. Able to slither down there. The big fella's got moves. Sliming down that vent. Using those flashbangs to reposition. Now he's comfy. Alright, they know it's a save at this point. But yeah, 𝐿𝐶 doesn't really get that much credit for you know, being an IGL that ultimately did win a major. Look at that entry. That double there was clean. Nice assisting flashes from Simple. They didn't quite convert that round, but yeah, like Blade gets a lot of credit. NaVi's coach is just known to give his players just pages and pages of notes. Doesn't really matter how many notes you give your players. I mean, IGLing the squad, especially with someone kind of Simple's temperament, not the easiest task. A lot of slithering about in this area, round after round. Flushing out res in that rafter position. It is not easy to clear that rafter position, but he made it look easy. Like if you're a CT and you find yourself like behind that like dildo spot on the site, or just chilling in those rafters, like that's a tough nut to crack. 𝐿𝐶 a little spam, nice conversion there. That basically gives his team the round. 𝐿𝐶 with some huge entries on this T side, like the double entry on upper, picking off the player on lower, like looking solid, honestly. This kind of entry frag IGL role. Kind of putting some pressure on upper with his util set, then squadding out, walking through those outside smokes. Just consistently being pain and NIP side in that secret area. FaZe in a smoke, looking for trouble. He doesn't really clear that player back then very well. It's a momentary lapse in judgment there. I didn't really see the player either, to be honest. But hey, I'm not getting paid the big bucks to play like that. When he tries to flash out the homie through the smoke, but no dice. This was unleashed electronic before he had to take on the IGL role. Looks like NaVi's performances have taken a bit of a hit recently since electronic has been IGL. At first he was like fragging insanely for an IGL, but now kind of as time has gone down, his numbers have started to lower in general. A lot of people think NaVi do need an IGL, swap things up. NaVi did ultimately decide to part ways with SDY. I mean, it kind of made sense. Feels like SDY and Perfecto kind of have a lot of the same roles, a lot of the same kind of play style, in my humble opinion. But it kind of feels like the ship has sailed on the NaVi 𝐿𝐶. Like the era is just big rip. Question is NaVi gonna consider getting a new IGL? I've seen people throw out the names like Nealon. Hobbit was actually rumored to join NaVi for a little bit. But I guess you would keep electronic as IGL at that point. Oh, Bloomage with the CZ armor. This is not something you see very often. Man, Bloomage is just repping Optic Gaming all damn game. I mean, it was Simple's 𝐂𝐒 and Perfecto's 𝐂𝐒. But we have seen how proficient Bloomage can be with these, like, SMGs, close range. Yeah, gets himself on his trusty MP9 here. FishTheHusky taking down the young gunner. Sheesh. It's nice use of utility from Bloomage on God. But his team does ultimately lose that round, so NaVi find themselves a bit of a hole, but they're still on CT side nuke. Ooh, does the deagle spam. Oh, I thought it was 2-1 deags for a second. Just second one was a headshot there. Third was the spam. Damn, he shoots with the deagle quick. Pretty dirty work from the big boom there. Pretty much giving his team the round. Wrapped on a platter. Oh, and look at that. He gives himself a trusty Mac 10. That's right up Bloomage's wheelhouse. Finds himself with a FAMAS now. Feels like Bloomage never has a real gun in his hand. Always working the FAMAS, 𝐂𝐒, Mac 10, SMG, MP9. But hey, that's definitely a skill, being able to invest more into the other players on your team. Yeah, it looks like he got Perfecto a gun. It looks like Perfecto gave him the FAMAS. I mean, Perfecto's been a beast in 2023, in my opinion. Kind of looking like the most consistent player for NaVi. Or sorry, at the end of 2022, at the end of last year. It's looking like one of the most consistent players on that squad. Minute and a half, no action, then Simple chews him up. It's like, yeah, if you have Simple in your squad, sometimes that'll happen. Changes out to FAMAS for 𝐂𝐒. One day, Bloomage, one day you'll get a real gun, but for now, you will work with the 𝐂𝐒. What a kill from Bloomage. Nice spam. Bloomage kind of fails to have any impact there. Arguably kind of just timing. But look, he finally got himself a rifle. This game's getting close. 4v5. Up one round. Just got Bloomage locking down the squeaky position. Honestly, maybe this is how Vitality should play with Apex on CT side. This kind of role. As opposed to him just playing like really aggressively outside with kind of mixed results. Bloomage to Vitality confirmed. Could you imagine? Going for that quick drop to Secret. After no early action, Squeaky. It's like a nice, tricky little move from Big Boom. Will it pay off? Secret definitely scary to peek. Especially at this level. I feel like if you're at like really low elo games, like just peeking Secret, easy kills, but it's tier 1 Counter-Strike, they're just gonna be trained in on that angle. Definitely have to wait for a teammate to flash you out or something. But there he took a really just aggressive line, kind of running way too early. That was pretty sloppy from him there. That was the first, like, you know, but if you make some mistakes in game, you can always be like, oh, well, I'm the IGL and we won the game, so, you know. I love his movement. Get down on these vents. There's no sound, just always clean with it. Does anyone know what his M4 means? What do you guys think? Is Bloomage overrated? Underrated? Does he still have what it takes? It's a bit of a save here. Not much action. Yeah, this NIP roster. Wow, only 2 out of the 5 remain in this game. This was earlier in 2022. They had Plopsky, Hampus, 𝐂𝐻𝐿, 𝐂𝐒𝐍𝐿, Rez. Only Rez and Hampus remain. Minus 𝐂𝐻𝐿 the end of the year. Minus Plopsky in the middle of the year. Minus, well, 𝐂𝐒𝐍𝐿 was just like a stand-in. That's when they had the kind of revolving door of oppers. 𝐂𝐒𝐍𝐿 looked like a pretty solid player on Sangle. once again, Bloomage having to rock the FAMAS, taking that over from Electronic so that Electronic, the beast, can have a full rifle. Was Bloomage able to constantly sacrifice his role to kind of have the cheaper guns? He had 800 in the bank too. The kind of a but him like not being a liability while still using these like cheaper guns like shows like why he can be part of that winning formula. Look at that, 2 kills without even having to see his opponent with the FAMAS. He's making this thing look like a A1S with these spams. What the heck? Like he's got that squeaky area on super lock. Oh, he finally gets himself a real gun, Bloomage. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Got yourself a crisp 𝐂𝐒𝐒. You can finally game with the big boys. And he never really peeks squeaky unless it's smoked. A lot of discipline there. Oh, he goes for the loud drop. Oh, because he knows they're going for his team sent it out secret. Like he's always quiet about it, but this time he's like, nope, I'm dropping. And he was already too late. Tried to smoke that kind of choke, but they were already out of it. So it looked like they were able to slide down lower. But hey, still survived. Oh, he could smell the lurk was coming. Ultimately getting traded though, kind of helping his team secure the round there. Life of a squeaky player, a lot of smoke spamming. Which does seem to kind of like to lurk down these hunters, or hunt down these lurkers in the kind of mid rounds that transpire when he's sometimes given a little bit of freedom. All right. And that is the game, folks. I appreciate everyone tuning in to the video. Definitely more pro player POVs coming out soon. Where do you guys think Bloomage will end up? What kind of squad will he end up on? What do you think? Is he underrated? Is he overrated? Personally, I think 2023 could be a big year out of Bloomage, but certainly all of the work he put in on NaVi will ensure that at the least he gets paid, even if he's kind of playing at a tier lower than what he's used to. Yeah, appreciate all of you so much. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night.